be slandered! General, you saw my reports. You know it's not my fault.
The facts suggest otherwise. You were ordered to retrieve the artifact. You failed to do so.
If I had been given drow warriors instead of goblin trash!
Oi! What?
You scrag!
Enough!
A blast of mental energy washes over you, filling the room. Your tadpole squirms, urging you to obey.
Let me make sure I understand this. You're claiming that General Thorm gave you the wrong soldiers.
Yes. No!
You blame the Absolutes chosen for your failure.
Of course it is not the General's fault.
Whose then?
The goblins. They failed me. They failed us all.
You lying little...
And what would you do to those that have failed you?
They are put to death, obviously.
True. Ultimate failure must earn ultimate punishment. Night Warden Mintara, your crime is incompetence, and your sentence is death.
No!
Make her passing slow, Disciple Zarel. Be creative. A new, true soul come to share their wisdom? And what do you have to contribute? A pity, then, that her faith was so inadequate. Take her below.
No! Please! Mercy! Please!
Bye-bye, princess.
Mintara was dragged to the prison. If she's still there, this is our last chance to save her.
You were adored, Minthara. Brought up from the darkness and into the Absolute's light.
She cherished you, but it wasn't enough. You were distracted by your own desires.
Bloodlust, murder, chaos.
And most damning of all, an inability to follow orders.
I obeyed to the best of my ability!
And isn't that depressing?
You are nothing.
Minthara's mind connects with yours. Not strong as you remember it, but fractured, disintegrating.
Come to observe, true soul. She is a lesson. None can rise so high that they cannot fall again. When the body suffers, we retreat into the mind. But when the mind breaks, all is lost. We are erasing her. Willful, though. But you are right. Whatever is useful, we will leave intact.
None of you will break me!
Wrong!
What is this? Pity? Rebellion? Blasphemy? Stand down, or we will put you down! I think not. You're dead.
I expected to be greeted as a hero. But the wretches imprisoned me and tried to tear my mind apart. I didn't think anyone would come for me. Erasing my thoughts and my will. Even I could not have endured for much longer. Agreed. Lead the way. I last left Moonrise as a commander in the Absolute's army, obeying the voice of a god. I thought I had found a home, and a purpose. Now I leave as an exile. But you risked your life to rescue me. For that, I am grateful.
The artifact connects with her, pulling your minds together and showing her all that you have seen. The prism, your dream visitor, the protection that keeps you from obeying the Absolute and becoming a Lithid. She knows it all in a moment. Her mind reels, but is no longer clouded. She accepts the truth. She has no choice.
There is much we must discuss. Do you have a safe place to camp nearby? Goodbye for now. I will see you soon. You wish to consult me? I was the Absolute's dagger. I remember every throat that it held me to, and every drop of blood it forced me to spill. I take no responsibility for the lives I took. I did nothing in the Absolute's name. I was merely a weapon that it wielded. They were not my actions. You have been protected from the worst of the Absolute's influence. Understanding what was done to me is beyond you. I fought at his side once, shortly after my conversion. Before the battle, he was everything a general should be. A charismatic leader with a brilliant strategic mind. And when the fighting began, he led his troops from the front and cut through the enemy like a scythe through stalks. Blows and arrows rained down on him, and before long, his face was a mask of blood. But he did not fall. He did not even falter. When we won the day, Ketheric's armor was bent and shattered, but his flesh was unmarked. I have lived long enough to know that few things are impossible in this world. Ketheric's power is a rare thing, though. I have never seen its like. There is a connection to this night song of Balthazar's, whatever or whoever it might be. We must find it and destroy it.
Something of a closed book, but I suspect a heart of gold lurks beneath that stern countenance.
You wish to consult me? A disparate collection of vagabonds and strays. Did you have anyone particular in mind? It would have been better for us had she embraced Shah and claimed the power of the goddess. But it is better for Shadowheart to be free of that poisonous influence. The gods are the source of our woes. Though I concede that Shah is far from the worst of them. The Night Singer has some admirable qualities. Far more than her insipid sister. But her followers are repressed. Take the child Shadowheart. She does not even know who she is, but still manages to pity herself. The very concept of Sharan worship is self-indulgent. They would have you think every whispered word and hidden thought is of value, but it is not so. I have performed 1,000 interrogations, squeezing out the most guarded secrets held in heart, mind, and soul. I can tell you this. When the trivial parts have been whittled away and I have sifted through what remains, in most cases, a person amounts to nothing at all. I have encountered few Githyanki in my life. Those that I did were raiders, They croaked out pleas for mercy in their alien tongue as they died. Meeting Lae'zel makes me wish I knew more of their culture. I did. She told me that she has nothing to teach that cannot be learned through observation of her prowess in combat. Perhaps she is right. She certainly cuts a striking figure in battle. There is a precision to her ferocity that I admire. I think I am beginning to. In spite of her youth, there is a patience and precision in Lae'zel's thoughts and actions that I admire. Those qualities will strengthen as she matures. The wizard? No. Their mastery of the weave is commendable, but they are poor conversationalists. In my experience, they do not usually live long enough to make the effort of befriending them worthwhile. Either the enemy recognizes they are a threat and kills them swiftly, or their curiosity leads them to combust while experimenting with the limits of magic. Our wizard is already in a state of suspended combustion, thanks to that orb between his ribs. I suspect it is only a matter of time before he goes up in smoke. I will reserve my social graces for those who might live long enough to appreciate them. He is exceedingly self-righteous. Amusing, considering he bound himself to a devil. Then do not suffer him. You do not need to like a man to fight alongside him effectively. And Will is a good soldier. I would rather be allied with a warlock than the spoiled son of a noble who has more experience with diplomats than devils. I have never known anyone so ferocious and unassailable in battle, and yet so fragile and impermanent in their very being. I often think of mortality as a curse. In time, all that I am and all that I have known and learned will be lost. In time, our cities will be dust. Karlach does not seem to have such anxieties. Perhaps because she cannot afford to. She exists in the moment, and she will burn out and be gone in a moment. There is something very beautiful about that. I fought at his side once, shortly after my conversion. Before the battle, he was everything a general should be. A charismatic leader with a brilliant strategic mind. And when the fighting began, he led his troops from the front and cut through the enemy like a scythe through stalks. Blows and arrows rained down on him, and before long, his face was a mask of blood. But he did not fall. He did not even falter. When we won the day, Ketheric's armor was bent and shattered, but his flesh was unmarked. Every chance, once he is stripped of his power, there is a connection to this night song of Balthazar's, whatever or whoever it might be. We must find it and destroy it. I was the Absolute's dagger. I remember every throat that it held me to, and every drop of blood it forced me to spill. I take no responsibility for the lives I took. I did nothing in the Absolute's name. I was merely a weapon that it wielded. I would rather die than endure it again. The tadpole, the absolute. They work together like a drug. I did not feel I was compelled to act against my will. I felt ecstatic to serve. Every action seemed a deliberate choice, the best choice, even though I could no more have resisted its commands than flesh can resist decay. Even rational minds like ours cannot reject such a powerful influence. The absolute can make the impossible seem inevitable. I took up my oath long ago, when I swore bloody vengeance against any who defied Loth. Now, I myself have sinned against the Spider Queen. Though my faith is shattered, my oath endures. I am sworn to destroy all those who serve the Absolute. It is not noble, it is necessary. If we do not destroy the cultists, they will destroy everything. We are all that stands between this world and annihilation.
Hold your breath.
We ought to discuss our next steps.
Time to rest.
There are important matters to discuss.
I will never tire of sitting on dead men's thrones. Power always has. But I shall not get too comfortable here. We must be free if we are to rule. And to be free, we must destroy this cult. And Ketheric's co-conspirators along with it. I know one of them all too well. Baal's bloodletter, Orin. To think, I thought her to be speaking for the Absolute. I worshipped that woman. You make it sound so simple. She is the chosen of Baal, Lord of Murder, and one of the cult's founders. Indeed, she is the one who indoctrinated me with the Absolute's lies. She is fierce, vicious, and cruel. In those respects, we are alike. But she is dangerously unpredictable. If there is a way to turn this design towards slaughter, rather than control, she will take it. She is the one who brought me to Moonrise, and into the presence of her so-called god, the Absolute. Now I know that those memories are lies. There was no god. Orin held me down in a cocoon of flesh, while a mind flayer forced a parasite into my brain. And she laughed at my fear. I will find her. I will murder her. And I will smile. It is as if you read my mind. Perhaps you did. In killing Ketheric, we fractured the cult's leadership. When we break the other chosen and claim their netherstones, we can take control. I expected you would be, but know this. What I propose is nigh on impossible, but if anyone can succeed, it is us. We have the prism, and we have the courage to slay gods. We may fail, but we must try. The power of the enslaved Elder Brain could reshape the world. We could reshape the world. And then we will need no gods. We will be their equal. We will be absolute. We have a purpose and a bond. By my oath, I will fight with you while that purpose holds. There is yet one thing about you that troubles me, though. Something I need you to explain. Why come to Moonrise, where the cult's power is strongest? Why not walk away? True. But do not lose yourself to despair and fatalism. They tried to make victims of us. But we can take this opportunity to become gods. Now, I am ready to leave this damned place whenever you give the word. The city awaits. I, for one, will miss the Shadow Curse. For all the pain it caused us, it did at least obscure the incessant sun. I take no pleasure in his passing. Whatever faults he may have had, Ketheric was a great leader. Of course. He ruled Moonrise for centuries. That in itself deserves respect. I believe he was an honorable man, but the gods used him as their plaything. First, Shah and her sister, then the three behind the Absolute. I sympathize. As are we. And if the coming battle breaks us, I hope that someone will mourn our passing, despite the bodies we have left in our wake. A true soul came to my city preaching a message of togetherness, accompanied by 2 novices. Menzoberranzan is not fertile ground for such messages. I killed them and hanged their bodies in my garden. I thought so too. This world is full of fools, after all. But in this instance, I was mistaken. Our visitors were not fools. They were bait. Even as the flesh sagged and sloughed away from their eyeless skulls, their audacity infuriated me. I had to know where they came from. And whoever sent them was counting on my curiosity overcoming my caution. Yes. All it took was a simple act of necromancy, and the corpses told me where I needed to strike. Moonrise Towers. No. I was prepared for combat, but I intended to strike subtly. As it turned out, to my shame, I was defeated without even drawing my weapon. I came to Moonrise with a retinue of warriors and assassins, the best House Bainray had to offer. I expected a battle, but found a fully laden feast table and a welcome befitting a house matron. Ketheric expected us, expected me, and I fell for his flattery. I recognize my flaws. Pride is certainly among them. Ketheric proposed an alliance between Moonrise and Menzoberranzan. I admit I was captivated by him. He invited me to the head of his table as his guest of honor. I was wary, of course. If I had been in his position, the food would have been poisoned. It was not the food I should have been wary of. It was the pale woman at the foot of the table. Orin the Red. We had barely begun to eat when she spoke for the first time. I only caught one word, my name. Then, quick as lightning, she climbed onto the table, a dagger in each hand, and skipped toward me, slicing the throats out of my men as she passed them. If it had been an option, I would have. Ketherick held me still, his hand on my shoulder, the grip tight enough to crack the bone. When Orin stood before me, she touched the dagger to my eye, drawing out a tear of blood. "I want this one," she said. Ketherick nodded his permission, and I was taken below. You've seen the horrors of the colony. Orin kept me there for days. She forced me to watch as my men were processed. Some for food, others as thralls. And then she placed the tadpole in my eye herself. That is certain. You know the rest as well as I do. There were massacres before the Grove. Religious communities mostly. Those who refused to convert. Then there was you, and now there is freedom. Soon there will be vengeance.